Hello everybody in Facebook land, that is you, dear Facebook viewer. Welcome to our regular Facebook Live. My name is Zelda Sheldon. I'm a licensed realtor in Nashville, Tennessee, and I am with Nashville Real Estate Rockstars with Village, and every single Thursday at 2:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time is when we talk about all things Nashville. And this could be anything, all the hot spots, where the real estate market is going, what the heck is happening. I'll take you through some properties as well, and yeah, hopefully to add some value to you in if you're a buyer and you want to know what is going on. Maybe you're a seller, maybe you're a relocator as well, and you're just thinking, how hot is this market, what's actually happening? So as promised, I have announced that we were talking about how to buy a house in this crazy, red hot Nashville market without going crazy. And I have to say, it is a very crazy time. So there's a lot of things to consider. There's a lot of moving pieces in this crazy puzzle. Of course, there's a lot of pressure for buying inventory, buying houses, especially at the medium house price or less. There's a big squeeze going on there. We can't get enough of these type of houses. And if you're an agent like me, a real estate agent who has got buyers, and I've had a few of these first-time home buyers. Generally the profile, the typical profile that is looking for at the medium house price or less, it is extremely difficult. And why is it extremely difficult? Well, because these first-time home buyers want a really awesome house. They've seen HDTV, and they want to get something that's really awesome. Generally, they don't want a fixer-upper. So they want as good a house as they can possibly get for that price. And then there's rehabbers out there who are wanting to make money from delivering this product, but the land prices have just gone up so high in Nashville, so now it's getting more and more difficult for a rehabber or even a builder to deliver that product at the medium house price or less for this very picky, choosy, particular first-time home buyer or someone who wants to buy at the medium house price. So let's talk about what the medium house price is in Nashville. First up, so I've got my statistics, and I just loaded that down from RealTracs, which is the MLS that we use here in Nashville, Tennessee. And I've just gone for Davidson County, and I thought, well, let's expand it a little bit more so that I know that everyone likes a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, but let's go even further. Let's see what's happening from a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom right up to, the nth degree, a 6-bedroom, 4-bathroom in this case, and plus 2 halves. So this is just the statistics in the last 6 months and what's currently on the market. So in the last 6 months, 1,088 properties have closed here in Nashville, in Davidson County. The median house price was $285,000. $285,000. And that was for a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bathroom. List price was $149 a square foot. All right, and now it gives me the average statistics. Let's just go back a little bit. The average was $302,000. Now remember I did statistics, advanced statistics, as part of my university degree, and what an average is not as reliable as the median. So the average is when you've got the lowest price, low baller, craziest, unicorn offer out there, and then you've got the highest price gazillion-dollar mansion. So it's got two ends of the scale, and that is kind of skewing the average figure a little bit. So what they do in statistics is, just to even that out, they take the two extremes out and then they just average, average or median the rest. And so the median house price gives you a much greater, more clear picture of what's happening. But what it does give us, for some reason on the real tracks, is it gives us the sales price to list price percentage, and that's based on the average price only, not on the median. If I could just give a message to the real tracks people, can you please give us that sales price to list price ratio based on the median price? That would be awesome. Anyway, that's just my wish. All right, so homes are selling on average 99.2% of the list price, based on $302,000 as the average home price. That is crazy. That means that there is hardly any room for negotiation. That means that, yes, it's a seller's market. Sellers know it's a seller's market. Yes, they'll put their crazy prices on it. Yes, buyers will pay for it because buyers at a certain price point are just going crazy. They are looking for a house and they want to get into that house to stop paying rent, which is the case with some of my buyers. All right, so let's just dig a little bit deeper in here. So that is the closed properties. Now let's go for the actives. There are 302 properties right now on the market, and that, remember, we've gone from a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom right up to a 5-bedroom, 5 full and 2 half-bathroom mansion. So the cheapest price, least expensive price on the market right now in Davidson County is $100,000. It hasn't even been on the market for a full day yet, so this is fresh news. If you want a 724 square foot little house for $100,000, boom, you've got one in Nashville. I would guarantee that that's going to be a fixer-upper. However, if on the other end of the scale you are looking for a 9,005 square foot mansion at $1.9 million built in 2018, it's been on the market for 432 days. You've got a little bit of time to go for that, because that is definitely not a seller's market. That, at that point, is a buyer's market. Just saying. Because, look, it's been on the market for over a year. So let's go to the medium. Let's go to the median again. And the medium on the market, out of the 302 properties that I found, is a 1,983 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom, built in 2004 for $332,235. That's what the list price is, $332,235, and it is going for. It's been on the market for 25 days. So isn't that interesting? I must go backtrack. I'm going to backtrack a little bit to find the closed properties, because we didn't talk about days on market for the closed properties. The median, the days on market median, was selling at 99.2%, is after being on the market for 7 days, and the average is 24 days. So it's an extreme seller's market based on around about that medium or less. So that's what is happening in this crazy market. We've talked about the why. We've got too many buyers looking for a very thin band of what their ideal price point is, which is at the medium house point or less. So if I've got a buyer who's looking for $250,000, woo, okay, that is crazy making territory. We're out there, we're looking, we're, jostling around trying to get in quickly and trying to make that offer and trying to make sure that our offer is accepted. Now, last week, you remember that we were in a little property that my buyer put an offer on, and we were looking at the home inspection report, right? Remember, we were looking at the home inspection report? I'm going to take off the address just to protect the innocent. But this is the property. It is up in Madison. It is a super cute little property, and they just wanted it. They just loved that. They did their inspection report, and there were too many things in that report that scared them. And so they terminated their offer. They terminated their contract. Yes, so they had their offer accepted. And we were in a multiple offer situation, and we got the chosen one. Yay! So that is what we're going to talk about, how to be a home buyer, how to be a successful home buyer in this crazy Nashville red hot market without driving yourself crazy. So I want to talk about using the purchase and sale contract to maneuver your way and have the confidence to go out there confidently in the market and write your offers and go through your inspection period, and then get out if you need to, and then renegotiate if you need to. So the purchase and sale contract, I've made a handy dandy little cheat sheet here, and I've called it Offer Details for Purchase and Sale Contract. So this is all of the things in the 10-page Tennessee Realtors Purchase and Sale Agreement. It's a 10-page document, right? And it's all got on one side, see on the left-hand column, there's all these numbers. It's almost like reading the Bible, chapter and verse. So every single page of this 10-page document, and I've just highlighted in orange some of the highlights, because we are going to just go through the 4 ways that you can confidently be a very successful seller to get in and out of contracts and buy the house of your dreams. All right, so the first negotiable line that we are going to look at is your offer price. That's line 41 on page 1 of the purchase and sale contract. Purchase price, buyer warrants, he will have sufficient cash to complete, now that's also a loan as well, sufficient cash to complete the purchase of the property under the terms of the purchase and sale agreement. There's 10 pages of terms, all right? And they are going to offer, in this case, it was $230,000. That was the list price, right? So that is the first negotiation. And the seller will either look at that, and if it's at list price, they'll go, that sounds like a pretty good list price to me. And if there's no one else in the pool, like in the pool of buyers, multiple offers, if you're the only one, there's a good chance that your list price is going to be taken. Now, if there's no one else in the pool, if that's been sitting there on the market for over, let's say, 25 days, which is the medium time that it's sitting on the market, if no other offers have come in 25 days, you can use your days on market to determine how popular that price is. And if it's been sitting there for quite a long time, maybe it's already had an offer, and maybe the other buyers have got spooked, like my particular buyers did last week. They'll get out of contract and the property will come back onto the market again. And that is good news if you want to be a good negotiator, because you can ask the listing agent, hey, what's going on? Why did this fall out of contract? What do I need to know here, and how much leverage have I got with that information to give a lower than list price and to increase your terms, your favourable terms in your favour if you're the buyer. All right, so a little tip there. So that's the purchase price. You don't have to pay the list price, but if it's only the first day on the market and you know that it's a red hot market, will you want to offer less than the list price? I don't think so. I think that you'll really want to have your realtor have a good conversation with the listing agent to talk about, look, this is what we're thinking, this is what we've done, we've looked at the comps, and I don't know, maybe there might be some wiggle room in there, but in this red hot crazy market, there's not much wiggle room. Remember, it's selling for 99.2% of the listed price, only 24 days on the market. And the medium is selling 7 days on the market, right? There's not much room for wiggle room there, and lowballing and trying to get yourself a bargain at that price point, especially if you're dealing with the medium price, which is around about the $285. Remember, that's the medium house price in Nashville, $285,000 or less. Not much wiggle room. Okay, the next, back to the cheat sheet. The next point of negotiation is line number, well actually it's in order of the actual contract, but it's not in order of the timeline. But okay, so let's just go in order of the contract. So here it is on page 2, the bottom of page 2. You're going to tick this little box here whether or not your offer is based on an appraisal contingency. And if you're an all-cash buyer, usually you don't need an appraisal. So, but if you are going with a bank, if you are being financed by a bank, oh, and let's just backtrack a little bit. So if you have got a financial contingency, you're going to want to you're going to write in line 47 the loan amount. And in this case, my buyers, I'm not going to mention their names, but they were looking for 95% financing, and they were going to put down 5% for a down payment. But an all-cash buyer, like we were, me and hubby were all-cash buyers when we bought our little Nashville dream home, we didn't need a contingency of an appraisal because the bank wasn't lending us money. We had the money, and we were just confident that that price was the right price. Okay, so what this means for leverage. If you are a seller, put yourself in the seller's shoes. If a seller gets an offer from an all-cash buyer and there is no contingency, no appraisal contingency that is being checked on the purchase and sale, versus another offer where a buyer is going to get 95% financing, and the lender is going to want to have that appraisal contingency to make sure that that house is worth every penny that they are lending on. And in brackets, why they're doing that, why the lender wants to do that, is because if the buyer defaults and can no longer pay for their loan, the lender wants to know that they can go around and sell that property as soon as possible for what that appraisal price was. So the lender does not want to overpay for the house. So they're protecting themselves by lending the money to the buyer, and the buyer must have that financial contingency in there because the bank and the lender is going to want to put an appraisal out. Okay, but that is protection because that gives you leverage. So say if you did get under offer as the buyer and the appraisal comes back lower. What if it's come back lower? And this has happened to me quite a few times. The appraiser has gone, that house is not worth that listed price that that buyer was prepared to offer. And just because you've offered, it doesn't mean that we, as the lender, are going to accept that and give you that money based on what we've found out is the appraised price. So, buyer, home buyer, you either have to come up with your own extra out of your own pocket. You know, maybe you've got a fair little stash still in the bank and you have to pay out of pocket the gap, or you have to negotiate with the seller. If you've got no extra money, then the seller has to come down to the appraised price or meet you halfway, whatever. So put yourself again in the shoes of a seller. What do you think about that appraisal situation? Are you going to like that? So that actually is the second point of the negotiation. That's the second negotiable point of the contract, right? So that purchase price, that's up for negotiations when it comes down to an appraisal. All right, what's the third part of the negotiation? The third part, let me go to the cheat sheet again, is the inspection period. And that is on line number 281. 281, and on this purchase and sale, which is the current purchase and sale, 281, and here it is. Buyer's inspection and resolution within X days, fill in the blank. I always like to put 10. 10 is a really nice amount of time. It's just slightly over a week. It's not 2 weeks. It's enough time for all of the inspectors, the home inspector, remember? This This is a 27-page, cover up the address, a 27-page everything you need to know about the house. Look at this, all the pictures of the crawl space, what's happening. Remember we saw the roof, if you were here last week, all of the plumbing, all of the foundation. It's got every single thing in the attic, roof, to the underneath what's happening in the crawl space. So it's got everything that you need to know. So that's a great inspection. Plus, if you're going to be financed, the lender will require a termite inspection, and if you want to as well, you will get a radon inspection. And sometimes people will have a mold or fungus inspection as well, especially if they're very susceptible to those types of things. So 10 days is enough time to do all of that and to get your inspection reports back so that you can look at the whole house along with what you will have a look at the absolute very beginning, which is on the listing. It will be a Tennessee residential property condition disclosure or exemption form. And that'll be from the seller saying all the things that they are aware of that property, right? There's boxes to be checked, and they've got to disclose whatever they know. All right, so that's the 10-day. Now, let's talk about that. What happens if you've already paid your earnest money / trust money? It's called trust money now. It's generally 1% of the purchase price, and you say, this house is just too much for us as far as all of the repairs. Like, we're freaked out. We don't want to go through this. We've paid our whatever, couple $100 for our inspections, but we don't want to go through with this house. That's cool. They just let me know. I send a notification to the other side, to the listing agent, and say, just check one single box saying the buyer has made all of their inspections and they are exiting that, they're terminating the transaction because they didn't like what they found, right, during all of their inspection period of 10 days. So if you make sure that you get it within that 10 days, and every red hot realtor will have a reminder in their calendar saying, inspection period is coming up, and we'll have that so that we will never forget for you. You can get out of that, you can terminate legally in the terms of this purchase and sale contract, right? So that is the third negotiable point that you've got. And sometimes you can get a lower price, and sometimes you can, if you want to stay in the deal, you can go, well, okay, we're going to stay in the deal, but we want you to fix up a whole list of things, right? Could be one or two things. It could be nothing. You could just say, I love the house as is. It's perfect. I think it's great. Maybe just do a deep clean for me. That's easy. I've just sold a house, and it was based on, it was $425,000 was the purchase price. Congratulations to my awesome sellers. And the only thing that the inspector found was a little bit of water damage that got into some vent in their crawl space, and that just, there was a little pool of water, and that just had to be fixed up. And that was fixed up. We had a receipt there. That was the only item, one only item on the whole inspection report. As opposed to, I've done some others which are brand new construction, and we've had 20 or 30 items that had to be agreed upon by the seller and the buyer. Now, if you can't agree, let me read you what it says. Because there's a resolution period. After you've put in your notification, either by way of a notice, I'm leaving the transaction, or by a repair replacement proposal form within that 10 days, or whatever you've specified, and that'll be by a list. And I've got to do another one today for one of my other buyers. So this is their deadline today. We've got to write a list of repair requests. So if you've got 3 days in the contract for the seller and the buyer to go backwards and forwards, agreeing, disagreeing, counter-offering what the seller is prepared to repair and or replace, and what the buyer is prepared to accept. And if they can't come to an agreement, it says here, and I've highlighted this in orange, in the event the seller and the buyer do not reach a mutual written resolution during this resolution period, or a mutually agreement written extension thereof, as evidenced in an amendment, right, so we can make a form to stretch out the time, by both parties within the said period, this is 3 days of time, the agreement is hereby terminated. And if it's terminated, the buyer is entitled to a refund of the earnest trust money. So there you go. That is the fourth negotiable point of which the buyer can terminate and get their earnest money back in full. So let's summarise. That's been a lot of stuff to take in. This is definitely helping the seller understand what is exactly going on with buyers, because buyers definitely have their rights. No longer is it buyer beware. Now it is seller beware. Seller beware of the buyer, because I like to call this clause here the buyer's inspection and resolution. I like to call that the weasel clause, and I say that to sellers. Hey, you know, if I'm representing you, they're going to get a 10-day inspection, and they can weasel out of this if they don't like what they've found on this inspection. They can legally weasel out, and you've got no say in it, right? So there's the weasel clause, which is the buyer's inspection and resolution. There is the resolution period in which they've got 3 days. If they have said, I want this, that, and this, that repaired and replaced, they've got 3 days to, you know, agree or disagree. If they can't, then it's automatically terminated. They've also got the purchase price, which they can use days on market to have leverage. And then there's also the appraisal. So if they're getting a loan, they've checked that this is contingent on an appraisal. So there you go. That is using the purchase and sale and the marketplace to confidently be a buyer and not go crazy. Hey, has this been helpful? I hope it's been helpful. Here's an invitation for you. Reach out to me on my website. That's NashvilleRealEstateRockstars.com, where you can sign up for my monthly report, which is all of the little actives and on the market, what the home values, what the sales, what reality is going on in the Nashville real estate market. And that is including all the surrounding counties as well as Davidson County. So that's going to be great for you if you're studying this market. But also, if you've got any questions, feel free just to private message me, maybe make a comment if you want to, or feel free also to reach out to me. I love helping people be savvy buyers and sellers in this red hot Nashville market, and it'd be my awesome pleasure to give you the red carpet rock star experience to help you be the savviest buyer and seller in this crazy red hot Nashville market. So I'd like to wish you all, going into the holiday weekend, a very safe and happy 4th of July, Independence. And if you are a home buyer, relocator, and you want to be an independent homeowner and escape the rent trap, by all means reach out to me. I'd love to help you. So I'm going to wish you all happy Independence Day, happy 4th of July, and wishing you all of the peace, love, and real estate from Zelda, Nashville Real Estate Rockstars at Village. Bye. I'm going to turn off now.